Jesus Christ, you are the light of the world, the light no darkness can overcome. Stay with us now, for it is evening, and the day is almost over. Let your light scatter the darkness, and shine within your people here. The gospel for this Sunday is Luke 24, 13 to 25. If you haven't read it yet or watched it on the video that we made, please stop and pause this and go read that first. But these words that I just sang to you are in that passage. Stay with us now, for it is evening, and the night is almost over. I think I wanted to start my sermon on this passage from Luke this way because I miss worshiping with our church family so much. And singing Holden Evening Prayer is representational of who we are. I still remember the first time I sang Holden Evening Prayer. I didn't do it as a child. I was a Lutheran Church Missouri Synod member, moving from place to place my whole childhood, and somehow just never came upon it. But then at seminary, the church where I was assigned for teaching parish that Lent, they sang Holden Evening Prayer. The congregation, I remember the accompanist at the piano and the pastor on the guitar. And then when the prayers began and the congregation began to sing the prayers to each other, I was hooked. Let my prayers rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. And like the beauty of Holden Evening Prayer, the encounter in Luke 24 between two people and Jesus is in many ways transformational and yet human. As Cleopas and his friend make the journey from Jerusalem to Emmaus, let's remember it's Sunday, Easter Sunday. Just that morning, the tomb has been found empty. And these two are clearly disciples, even if they aren't part of the original 12. They have ridden the roller coaster of emotion these past 3.5 days as Jesus was arrested, scourged, crucified, and then reportedly resurrected. The demeanor of these two tell us that they're having trouble believing that the resurrection is real. But we had hoped, the one says, that he was the one to redeem Israel. You can feel their emotion. These two, who were able to believe when they walked throughout Galilee with Jesus, have not found a way to believe now when things are bleak, when their hearts are empty and sad. And yet it is Jesus who walks with them all the way to Emmaus and comes in to break bread with them at their kind invitation. And when he breaks the bread, when he shares their humble meal, their eyes are open. I'm going to quote a theologian to you, a man named Robert Tannehill. He says something profound about this. This is what he says: God's action is perceived especially in those situations and experiences where God's saving purpose surprises, because it is quite contrary to human plans and expectations. These experiences emphasize the continuing tension between divine action and human experience. No, I don't quote theologians to you a lot, but don't you like this? It's about divine action and human expectation. The two on that walk to Emmaus had no expectation of Christ entering into their walk that day, a walk where they shared their sadness and disappointment at Jesus' death. at Jesus leaving them alone to deal with everything, trouble, hardship. But we know, as Luke tells us, Jesus didn't leave them alone. God's Son Jesus was with them on that entire walk, listening and then sharing, opening the scriptures to them, it says, in a way meant to encourage their struggling hearts. They invite him in for dinner, almost pleading, "Stay with us now, for it is evening. Come on in, take your shoes off." And he does. And in the action of breaking the bread, the scales fall from their eyes. God's saving purpose surprises because it is quite contrary to human plans and expectations. What are you expecting in these days? These days that we're living through, when we are touched by illness and death in these days of pandemic, when our lives are disrupted by stay-at-home orders, which can sometimes feel capricious. My friends, expect God to break through, to break into your lives in these days. Just because we don't expect him to, doesn't mean God is not going to come into your life and into your heart to help you through these days. May God Creator bless us and keep us. May Christ be ever light for our